Alright lads, so today we're going to be showcasing the newly resurrected mind version of YHWACH. Within the last couple of days, we have showcased the other 3 characters. Recommend you lads check them out. For today though, we are here to focus on the most disappointing of the 4, I guess, this particular YHWACH. Now, I gotta say, this YHWACH is a really cool character. His existence in the game is exciting in of itself, especially when he got first introduced back on the 3rd anniversary Bankai livestream. In this case, though, YHWACH was met with a lot of disappointment, mainly due to the fact that he was a Retsu counter that really didn't counter her that well, but he was also just really lackluster in terms of DPS, not being given Frenzy, not being given Flurry. Instead, he was the standard hybrid character. And the fact they did this on the biggest and baddest villain of Bleach, it was of course a tad bit disappointing. But with that said, even though this character has been somewhat mediocre, and this resurrection really doesn't change that much, he did find a loss of usage in Guild Quest, and that's mainly due to the fact that he is a captain killer with a bombardment soul bomb that can also apply weakening. This makes him a pretty decent nuke in Guild Quest, and for the most part over the last 3 or so years, this is the only place he's actually been used. So when it came to his resurrection, that's what we were kind of hoping for. Just double down on what he's actually good at, being a Guild Quest nuker in the Captain Guild Quest. Did they do that? Well, they kind of did. For starters, his soul trait is damage taken minus 16% and also strong attack recharge time minus 10%. It's a decent soul trait. I'm not really going to use it that much, but it's definitely far from unusable. And when it came to his upgrades, he already had 6 skills, so that meant he picked up 2 new skills. The first skill being Devastation plus 20%. This is actually really good. Again, as already mentioned, his whole thing is that he wants to do damage with his soul bomb. So the fact that his soul bomb now hits 20% harder is definitely noticeable, and it is definitely good if you do decide to use it in Guild Quest as your Guild Quest nuker for the Captain Killer Guild Quest. Unfortunately though, his second skill that he picked up was Havoc plus 20%. And it's funny that I'm saying unfortunate because any other character would love to get Havoc. In his case though, his strong attacks aren't really going to be doing that much damage, so him getting extra 20% range is cool and all, but it's definitely not what he really wanted. A Frenzy skill would have been ideal here, or more damage on his Soul Bomb, like weakened defense or a full stamina damage boost. Any of those 2 skills would have been perfect, and this would have been a 10 out of 10 resurrection. Unfortunately though, he got 20% more range, so let's try him out. Does this range help him? We're about to find out. Alright, so jumping into the human killer IT, first let's demonstrate this character because he is still really cool and I love this character's visuals. Even compared to the newer version which is in the Almighty form, it's nice just to have a base form YHWACH. And I would kind of like to get a new YHWACH sometime in the future based off the fight with Yamamoto, where he has the anime colors, anime artwork, and also that really cool looking, QUINCY blades. But with that said, his SA1 is going to be a beam forward. Actually has some really good range to it. It just doesn't hit that many times. His SA2 is going to be just an AoE in front of him. You can actually use the SA2 and then move away and it will continue to attack. And then his SA3 is going to be an AoE around him. But now with the Havoc, it has 20% more range, so it's actually above full screen. Not like it makes a difference now, but the fact that his attacks were kind of like a bit linear, didn't really have the best range to it, kind of hurt him a tad bit when he first initially released. But I guess the added range to him now is actually quite nice, I must admit. But again, damage is still a problem here. At this point in time, we're basically using 1 to 2 strong attacks just to take down a few enemies. But to be fair, our damage, granted we are playing single player IT, the damage isn't too bad. It's more so just the fact that we're never really gonna have killer. Maybe if you had a PvE killer, you could probably get away using it in single player content like IT, for example. But in this case, if you want to use YHWACH, you're just making it tediously longer for yourself. Let's go here and use our SA1. Unfortunately, missed off. How do we miss those enemies? I have no idea. But that's YHWACH's kit for you, right? Let's just keep going though. Our damage has now been severely decreased because we were rocking a full stand builds. But the cool thing about the character, I must admit, is of course he has a transforming soul bomb, so we can use our strong attacks here. Then we can go here, use our soul bomb. Really cool soul bomb. In this case, we don't really get to demonstrate his strong attacks, but of course we do transform. Our visuals change. This shield even changes, and we also gain extra shield. But the visuals when he is transformed are really cool, especially that SA3. Absolutely love it, especially now with the added Havoc to it. And we weren't actually able to take Tsukishima down with just 1 or 2 strong attacks, and we won't even have full stamina. In that case, though, we got a 2-minute and 24-second clear time. Far from good, but we weren't trying to go for the fastest, so let's retry that and see if we actually can get somewhat close to a minute, which I would be quite surprised if we can. Alright, so retrying that. I think in this case, we're going to use our soul bomb on the second stage. SA2, unfortunately, couldn't kill there. Are we immune to paralysis? I actually can't remember. I'm assuming no. But the SA1 feels really nice. If we had guard break, you could probably get away with this SA1 on a newer character. So what we're going to do here is use our SA1 there, and then let's use our SA3. Lovely. And then I think we can go here and use our Soul Bomb. That should be able to transform us. And now we have weakening all of our attacks. So even our status almost change. It's really cool. SA2 there. You know, SA2 really isn't the best strong attack, I must admit. But at least now when we're transformed, our Night String even, and also attacks are doing some decent damage here. Still a bit wonky, like the SA1 didn't even kill there. He's just got a really weird kit. He looks cool while doing it, but it's definitely a really weird kit. Let's use our SA3 there. Unfortunately, the second we used our SA3, we de-transformed. Would have been nice to get 2 SA3s off in this particular room. Kind of wasted it there. If only we used it just a second earlier. Unfortunately, though, we've realized that we can't actually get paralyzed. Oh, no. But into the final room. At this point, we're just going to grab the Soul Bomb, use our SA1, and then just take down Tsukishima. Because realistically, the only great thing about this character nowadays is the Soul Bomb. Of course, there are better characters out there in terms of DPS with the Soul Bomb, like Yamamoto, for example. But as of right now, he still has a place in this particular game. And 1 minute 30 is not too bad, to be fair. But as of right now, and this definitely will change, so I'm not sure how far this statement is going to hold up. He is actually still a really good Guild Quest nuker if you have this character max transcended. I would love to showcase him in Guild Quest and show his capabilities and how hard he can hit with his Soul Bomb. Unfortunately, though, the Captain Killer Guild Quest isn't out right now, and it pretty much does require you to have him max transcended, something I unfortunately don't have. But we have showcased characters like Byakuya, for example, who by all means was a bad resurrection. He didn't get what he most wanted, that being the frenzy, but the extra damage on his Soul Bomb really did help him out quite a bit, and it allowed him to be used in Guild Quest. We showcased that in the Ichigo showcase, right? We were able to use Byakuya and was able to get a sub 1 second clear time. So just like Byakuya, even though this YHWACH's kind of mediocre for the most part, he is going to be able to be used in the Captain Killer Guild Quest. So just like Byakuya, even though this resurrection is still somewhat mediocre for the majority of the players, he is still going to be able to be used. Now, extra 20% devastation is definitely going to help him out a tad bit, just to make it so your runs go a lot faster, or more so it takes less resets to get the desired score. For the majority of players, though, that don't have this character 5-5 or really care that much about Guild Quest nuking, yeah, he's definitely going to be basically unplayable for the most part, right? In this case, though, we didn't actually get hit, so let's use our Soul Bomb here. What's our clear time looking like now? 1 minute and 30, so unironically almost the exact same. That looks to be somewhat of the fastest clear time you can get with this character. I mean, yeah, it's definitely on the slower side. You're not really being given a reason to use this character. Maybe if he picked up Frenzy instead of Havoc, he would have been a tad bit more usable. I mean, his damage would have been doubled, right? So yeah, he wouldn't have actually been too bad if he picked up Frenzy. Unfortunately not, though. So realistically, the only redeeming thing about this character right now is his Soul Bomb damage. But for the sake of it, let's just see how long it takes this character to do 15 million damage. For comparison's sake, Thousand Year Blood, where Ichigo, Yoruichi, and also Kisuke were all able to beat this epic raid in around 1 minute and 40 seconds. In YHWACH's case, though, it's definitely going to take a lot longer than that. We will probably get through the second phase relatively easy, because once we apply the weakened defense of our Soul Bomb damage, we should be able to do a lot of damage, especially with the transform mechanic. But getting there is pretty much going to be the struggle. So at this point, it's going to take us around a minute just to get through the first phase. Luckily, this is the normal ER, so it's not that much of a struggle. So what we're going to do here is use all our strong attacks. Let's use our SA3 there. There we go. And then we Soul Bomb. So we were able to do around 10% with just our Soul Bomb. And look at that, yeah. So we've gone through that second phase relatively quick. Thanks to the fact that we now have the transform mechanic, our strong attacks came back. We do more damage on our strong attacks. And we also applied weakened defense. And right when we get into phase 3, absolutely lovely, we've already de-transformed. So now all our strong attacks are back. All right, so the trap spawned in, but we can just easily destroy with our Nad String. We do have these Zara prepared, so we're getting 20 hits per hit. All right, just about finished. I think a few more strong attacks and we should be absolutely golden. Maybe one more SA3. Let's finish up with the SA3. Here we go. There we go. So what was that? 3 minutes to do that? So yeah, it definitely takes a long time for this character to do damage, right, for the most part. Again, that mainly comes down to his strong attacks being a bit wonky, him not being given Frenzy +1. The most notable damage that we did do there, of course, was with the Soul Bomb, and that's, again, the only good and redeeming thing about this particular character. So overall, this character, for the majority of plays, is definitely going to be a mediocre to use as Resurrection. The link itself is very niche. It's very rare for you to rock Recharge and also damage reduction. It's not bad, it's just rare for you to do that. And since his damage output is far below the standard, even when he first came out all those years ago, you're not even going to use him in normal PvE content. But again, as already mentioned, the only redeeming thing about this character is the fact that you can still use him in the Captain Killer Guild Quest. As of right now, he's still the best for that particular week, especially with the 20% more damage he does now do on his Soul Bomb. That's pretty much like the only great thing about his Resurrection. The Havoc itself is nice and all, but it really doesn't do much for him. I would have much preferred if they just doubled down, gave him weakened defense, or maybe maybe even full stamina. If we got that, he would have been even better for nuking, and that would have been just overall better for those that want to use him in guild quests. As already mentioned, I definitely will be trying to max transcend his character and take him into the guild quests, because while it's true we're definitely going to get a better guild quest nuker sometime in the future, that's almost given, I like being able to put characters like this that are somewhat useless to use and able to get a good score. That's why I use Byakuya in guild quests. He's not the most optimal, but he's fun to use, and it's just nice to get some use out of a character that for the most part has been unusable since their release. But with that said, that's my opinion on this particular YHWACH Resurrection. In the comments below, let me know how you like to feel about this character and also his resurrection. I'm curious to know, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care and peace.